How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi. Welcome to another episode of Tier Talk. What happened at Ware State Prison showcases the dangers that our officers and our correctional staff face every day. And the last thing we want to do is to downplay that. We don't want to minimize that. The last video I showed you was what is a riot. It's not a disturbance, that's a riot. That shows specifically the dangers that our brave staff face every day when working behind that wall. And then I hate when the news says, oh, it's non-life threatening. The injuries that the officers face, non-life threatening. It's only non-life threatening because they were able to protect themselves so their life couldn't be taken. The intent was probably to take their lives. So what I did today is I'm gonna forward over this video to other professionals from the field. I'm gonna let them tell you how they feel. We're gonna start off with Constantine Eileen. She worked in the medical side of corrections. She worked at Rikers too. So she knows her stuff, and she's gonna share how she feels when they call something like this just a disturbance. I'm also gonna give it to Russ Hamilton, who's a retired sergeant from San Quentin, and he's gonna share what he feels when they call this just a disturbance. I'm also gonna give it to retired Major Soto, retired after 25 years working in a state prison, and he's gonna share what he feels when they call this just a disturbance. I'm also gonna give this to author William Young, who currently works in the jails out in Nebraska. He has his own show out there. He's a correctional advocate, and he's gonna tell you how he feels when they just call this a disturbance. And I'm also gonna have Greg Piper share his thoughts. Trainer for Guardian RFID. He's been to facilities all across this country. He also has years in corrections, both as an officer and as a sergeant, and he's gonna share his thoughts on how he feels when people just call this a disturbance. So when we come back from our sponsors, hear from us, people that work in the profession, and we're gonna tell you how that makes us feel when something like this gets minimized. Stand by for our sponsor.
I wanted to attend a university that had an intelligence program. I wanted to look at problems different. I wanted to increase my critical thinking abilities. AMU offered those avenues to expand. Obtaining your degree as an adult, you're actually paying yourself and investing in yourself. You can't put a dollar on it, it's priceless. It's something that can never be taken away from you.
American Military University. Learn from the leader.
Guys, inmate manipulation is a course that is highly needed. It's the process that's so slow moving and subtle that you don't realize it's happening. When inmates choose to manipulate, they manipulate our need to react. Situational awareness and insight is going to save your career. It's going to save you from doing foolish things. Listen to your gut. So the more insight we have, the more we can recognize what isn't so overt, and we can correct our behavior before we fall into a trap that we can't get out of. If you allow an inmate to pull you out of your prescribed role, you are opening up a door for a host of problems. Inmate manipulation, the psychology behind inmate manipulation. Available now. Link in description.
Hi, my name is Constantine Eileen. I am the founder and president of the Civilian Corrections Academy. So I received a text from Anthony just to review this video. It is a very disturbing video, to say the least. I pray that all of my sisters and brothers behind the wall are actually safe. It is my understanding that some have been injured. But at this point, what you see in the video is not of just a simple disturbance. What you see in this video is many casualties. I am thinking of the officers who are in the throes of trying to contain and regain control of the facility. I am thinking of the medical teams who are being deployed to support the injured officers as well as stabilize those offenders that are injured. You know, certainly when you go into work on any given day, though you understand the violence that lay behind the wall, never do you expect that today's the day that there will be a riot. Today's the day that, you know, my brothers and sisters could be injured. Someone's going to get stabbed. Someone's going to get shot. Someone's going to get cut. You know that that danger is there, but you never just think that today is the day. So to kind of watch this unfold on contraband phones, no less, certainly is disturbing. So, you know, for those who don't know the realities behind the wall, this is not something that would be considered a minor disturbance. You know, yes, inmates have fights, that happens. You know, there's an assault on a staff, that happens. You don't see multiple people bleeding. You don't see tasers out. You don't see phones recording. Like, what you see here is not something that you would normally see. And so, you know, I just hope that while the spinsters are trying to make sure this is not blown out of proportion and they can simply say it's a disturbance, just know that this is beyond a disturbance. It's actually disturbing that someone would be trying to minimize the threat that is behind the wall, that has people injured, that has the potential to escalate into more than what it currently is. Again, it is my hope and prayer that my fellow brothers and sisters in corrections are able to come out there safely. But let's not forget the impact that this event will have on those who do survive it, on those who will have to return to work tomorrow and do it all over again. Until next time, stay safe.
I mean, here's the problem. I'm going to be a little bit biased when it comes to my response to this incident, this disturbance, right? Because it's possible for me to be thrown into the middle of this at any given time. So please understand that what I'm saying comes from a place of deep emotional tie to the men and women that are living through this right now. To call a riot a disturbance, to call a riot an incident, really minimizes the actual events that are taking place. And when you do that, you're affecting the mental health and the emotional well-being of the men and women that are fighting to maintain order, to contain this situation, this incident, and restore control. You're talking to a population of people that have poor job satisfaction as it is, who don't get the proper respect and recognition that they deserve as it is. And you're taking a deadly situation, a life or death situation, and you're minimizing it just because of the words that are being used. Because words matter. What we say, how we characterize or classify things matter. Look at the current climate in the world right now. Words matter. They lead to actions that cause serious problems. And so this thing that happened in Georgia, this riot, this uprising, this upheaval, is serious. And I'm not saying that they don't take it seriously. I'm not saying that they are purposely minimizing what happened, but I'm just saying that if we don't call it what it is, if we don't characterize it as a riot, then people, especially the public, don't understand what correctional staff are living through, are dealing with on a daily basis. This situation got out of control, right? And there are several of these situations that take place all of the time. We are on the verge a lot of the time. And so correctional officers need to know that the public supports them, supports what they do. And if the public doesn't understand, doesn't know, doesn't properly acknowledge that these things happen, then correctional officers aren't going to get that emotional satisfaction. They're not going to know that they have the support, the love, the respect of the public. And that's important, because when you're laying your life on the line every single day, every single time you walk through those doors, through those gates, you need that. My heart goes out to the brave men and women, the correctional officers, my fellow brothers and sisters that are dealing with this situation, and correctional officers all over the world that are minutes away, are just a few words away from dealing with a situation such as this. You have my respect. You have my recognition, and anything that I can do to shed light on the dangerous and thankless job that you do, I will do. Guys, make sure you watch out for each other. You watch each other's back or six or whatever you want to say. Respect each other. Love each other. And we will get through these situations, and it'll be okay, even if it's not okay.
You know, Tony, when you asked me to take a look at these videos about this ridiculous situation and how the conditions are horrible, obviously we're short on staff down there, it's bad for everybody. But I don't know what caused the situation. I don't know what caused the injuries. Obviously, in the Facebook videos, we've got inmates saying that the officers were shooting. Could this be that there was obviously there was a disturbance, probably in the yard, I think you mentioned, which led to 2 officers unfortunately getting injured, which then probably led to the tower guards maybe taking some shots, putting some people down. So obviously there was a cause and effect. Is it a riot? Boy, you know, I read what Merriam-Webster wrote about what a riot is. It's a disturbance in the peace, a violent disturbance in the peace. And I think what's happening inside the cells aren't necessarily a riot, but what's happening in the prison itself, yeah, that's a riot. It's a violent disturbance of the peace by 3 or more people. The officers inside the walls, yes, they're short-staffed. They're probably overworked. But what's happening here is completely out of the question. If the inmates and their families want justice, then let's get justice done. Let's work on getting better staffing. Let's work on getting better pay. Let's work on taking care of the officers. But a violent reaction to this is completely out of the question. And then taking the taser, taking the radio from the staff, the staff that's probably going to be able to try and get you that medical aid you're looking for, yeah, that's not going to work for you either. So violence does not beget violence. And taking away the equipment from the staff who are probably going to try and help you, certainly not going to be the answer either. So this is not a win-win. This is a lose-lose. Everybody's doing poorly here, but absolutely these officers are outmatched. They're outnumbered. They're underpaid. They're outstaffed right now, and they need our help and prayers. I don't have a good answer, but again, I guess it goes back to what we talked about a little earlier. I'd like to know what led to the original riot itself, why were shots fired. My guess is it's to protect the officers that were there on scene to begin with. And so, you know, don't be in that place. If you're wondering why your loved ones or family members got shot, my guess is they were out in the yard in the middle of that melee. And don't be there. You know, don't be in that yard right at that moment. Don't be near those officers or get away from that situation. That's kind of my thought on it, and my prayers are going out to the families of everyone injured in it, but absolutely those officers, life-threatening or not, injury is injury. No other industry faces this. We are an industry that's constantly under fear of being attacked. So well, that's my 10 cents worth. You know, I prattle on a little bit, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak my mind, Tony. Thanks much.
Good afternoon, guys. Retired Major Soto, Rutgers professor. Just coming in to put in my 2 cents on this video we just watched. And it kind of hits home sometimes when you hear individuals call it a disturbance when there's something major going on in a facility or a prison like Ware State Prison down in Georgia. Something that happened around 10:30, 10:40 at night on Saturday and wasn't under control until 1 a.m. or shortly thereafter, 1 a.m. on Sunday. I don't understand what people believe a disturbance as opposed to a riot may be, because obviously if you look up the definition of a riot, it is it's called a disturbance as well when they're trying to define that word. So that's how semantics can play a part whenever the department is trying to portray a lesser evil, basically a lesser incident, and they don't really like to call things as riot. But we know that people were hurt, not only inmates but also staff. And I know that again it's a matter of using semantics, and we're talking about non-life threatening injuries. But what does non-life threatening mean? It could mean various things, from severely injured to a minor cut or abrasion or bruise. But we know that whenever a facility, and all the videos that we've watched are only, being recorded illegally by inmates at this point, and we're watching these videos and it's being narrated by the inmates, and it's not really giving us too much insight as to what occurred prior or what occurred after, but we know that the institution itself was in control of the inmates at that point, and you have to call it a riot. It's more than two, it's more than three people. It's not a particular incident where 2 or 3 officers or 5 officers are responding to a fight or whatever you want to call a melee. You are seeing a facility that's under siege, windows are being broken, fires, obviously no control at that point until later on when all the confusion and chaos was then controlled by the Department of Corrections there in Georgia. So again, it's just disheartening sometimes when words and semantics are being used in the wrong way. I mean, this is an all-out, basically chaotic incident. People really got injured, and you can't just call that a small disturbance. Just my 2 cents, But as always, please stay safe.
Hey there, Tier Talk fans. Russ Hamilton here from Keepers of Chaos. So, Anthony Gangi asked that I shoot him off a quick little video about what happened last night in Georgia at the Ware State Prison. They had a critical incident, a very serious critical incident, in which numerous staff were hurt and in which numerous inmates were hurt. And so just wanted to, give a quick little shout out, especially to the guys and gals that actually work at that particular facility. Great job. You guys went in there and got it back, managed to keep it from being worse than it was. Yet at the same time, when we look at what the media did with it and with what that particular department did with it, they tended to try and just minimize what was going on. Just calling it just a disturbance and really not putting all the facts out there. I understand some of the reason for that, but they just seemed like they were really just holding back for no apparent reason. Kudos to the men and women in that particular facility that went back and took it back from the inmates and made it safer for those inmates and made it safe for them to continue on with the lockdown now that they've had to institute. Bully for them. But, too often, we're shortchanged in this profession by our departments and by the media with regard to that. I've been in dozens and dozens and dozens of critical incidents, including lots of different riots and things like that. None of them are easy. And it's especially much tougher, I'm sure, in this age of COVID. So I just wanted the public out there to know what a stellar, fabulous job that these individuals did restoring order to that institution. And I just want them to know that I understand what your department's doing. I understand that they're, really trying to minimize and mitigate and just not have to sweep it under the rug so that they don't have to talk about it. But I'll talk about it. And, I've already said it. Great job, guys. Like I mentioned before, have been through lots of these. And it's always disturbing. It's always traumatic when you're in them and other staff members go down. And so, hats off to you. Anyway, Anthony, hope you like my little segment here. Everyone out there, stay alert. Do not be complacent. Stay frosty. Stay awake. Stay alive.